Hey everyone, Ian Marsh here, CEO Streetsmart Business School, and what I want to be covering off on is, I would argue, the most important division in your whole company, and that's sales. Alright, so let's think about it. You've got your sales division, you've got your delivery division, you've got your administration division, you've got your strategy division. All these divisions mean squat if you don't make a sale. Now, be honest, how many of you, ladies and gentlemen, and I'm just giving you a minute or two for everyone to jump onto this call, but how many of you out there have experienced the dreaded sales prevention department? All right, how many of you have gone to an organization and they've made it so darn hard for you to do business with them, you just go, and you give up in disgust and go elsewhere? Well, what we're going to be covering off on today is information that's so important. Now, it'll probably take 15 to 20 minutes, but the payday for you will be huge. And see my big clock behind me? So many people say, why have you got a big clock behind you? Well, it's my cost of inaction clock, all right? So it constantly reminds me of the one thing we can't make more of. We can always make more money, but we can't make more time. So I always have that consciously up there so that I don't lose time in taking action. And I want all of you to understand today, what I'm going to take you through is just a very, very simple process, but it is going to help you improve the results in your sales process. So, without further ado, yes, you guessed it, I've got my wonderful presentation I'm going to share with you. And if you grab pen and paper now, you'll want to take some notes, because this simple process will, I promise you, you're going to find gaps in your sales process that you're going to be able to fill, spackle up and paint, and it's going to be the smoothest, leanest, meanest sales machine you've ever built. So here we go. Again, what we're covering off on today is the sales prevention department. And I'm going to tell you a story in a second, because it just happened today. I wasn't exaggerating. It's not a day goes by I don't meet the sales prevention department in an organization. And so, but when I'm going to take you through this little process, we're going to change that from you having a sales prevention department, and we're going to change the stats on that, if I can get my little mouse to work correctly for me, and we're going to change that to the sales facilitation department, okay? And so what I'm going to do, I'm going to take you through this process by telling you a true story. True story just happened. Well, the story sort of happened yesterday, but it culminated in an ending today. And hopefully it's a happy ending, and I'm going to have a smile on my dial soon. So this is our pool, and this is where we have lots of fun. And this is probably the only pool I know of that has 4 blooming pumps in it instead of 1. Why would you have 4 pumps? Well, we've got the ozone pump, and we've got the spa pump, and then we've got the real pump, and then we've got the waterfall pump. Oh my gosh, you just don't know the questions to ask when you get a pool. So anyway, these pumps, they literally have a standard life time of existence, and unluckily all of ours, this is the final pump that has not been replaced. So it burned out on us, and yes, I was blamed for it, but I was not it was not me. I said Dolly done it, not me, when my wife looked at me accusingly. However, we had to fix this pump. So I thought, easy task, not a challenge. Honey, go ring up a pool place and get it sorted, can you? And she goes, you're a tradesman, you're an electrician, you can't, why can't you fix it? Because, surely that'll save us money. I said, honey, I did Australia a favour by handing in my tradesman's licence many, many years ago. And I thought I taught you about the return on time. So honestly, yes, I may be able to replace that pool pump. By the time I went and sourced the pump, and then went to put it in, and then got all of the bits and pieces, and realised I couldn't fit slot A into slot B, and then looked at the instructions that were in Chinese instead of Australian, believe me, we are far better off getting an expert to do it. I'm doing you a favour, honey. Don't let me near the toolbox. So I finally convinced her that I should not be let loose on the pool system that is quite intricate. And so Jen sought about sourcing what we would most reasonably think is a simple solution. But now this is where I want you to get your pen and paper out. Do you think it really was that simple a solution? Well, I have a bit of a story to tell you. But what I want you to look at here is, and think about, is when was the last time you diagnosed your sales process? Okay, when was the last time you actually went from point A to point B and the steps in between point A and point B to see how effective your sales system is? Well, let's just do a little example now, and I am going to just use the pool situation because it's easy for all of you to understand. But you could be somebody that's an online company, and you could be somebody that's got a brick and mortar business. You could be an accountant. It will all apply to you. It's just that, again, I'm going to use the pool as the example to give a bit of context to this. So, diagnosing your sales process. I want you to think about the first step. So you've put your marketing out there, you've done all this U-Butte, Streetsmart strategies to get that interest in your product or service. And so the initial contact, it could be them going to your website. It could be them sending you a message. It could be them actually picking up the phone and saying, "How do you do?" Okay, yes, some people still have conversations. How many of you get frustrated? I mean, goodness me, I better not mention Facebook because Facebook might get upset with me. But don't you get frustrated when you can't just pick up the phone, have a conversation with somebody and say, "Excuse me, could you help me with this?" Because it's all done by submitting a ticket and sending an email and doing this and doing that, and they hide their phone number, okay? Good luck getting to talk to someone at Facebook. And honestly, I spend a fortune with them, and if I can't get to them, goodness me, who knows? So you pick up the phone in this situation, and as my wife did, and you said, "Excuse me, would I be able to get a quote on replacing a pool pump? And tell me what's involved." And so my lovely wife, who's very savvy, by the way, you cannot get anything past her. She should have been a member of ASIO, I swear. I mean, she's got ESP. My daughter is so frustrated. She's a teenage daughter and she keeps getting busted because my wife just knows stuff. She picks up on stuff. And so she made a phone call to, I won't say the pool company, and said, "Look, our pool's burned out. I need it replaced. Can you give me a quote?" And so the response was, "Sure, it'll be $1,500 and we can get out there tomorrow. That's installed." I think it was $1,400 and something dollars. Now, my wife, being as savvy as she is, I mean, obviously she's savvy because she married me, so she's got good instincts. She started thinking to herself, hang about, they didn't ask us the size of the pool. They didn't ask us the sort of setup with the pool. I'm no pool expert, but isn't that important information to know before you go and give a quote on a pump? What if it's the wrong pump? So because of that suspicious nature, Jenny did not move forward on that price. What she did do was make another call to Jim's Pool Services. Now, I'm sure you've heard of Jim's Mowing and probably Jim's Pool Services and Jim's Pole Dancing. There's a Jim's Anything, if you can think about it, Jim's Cleaning Services. And so Jen rang Jim and they had a process, ladies and gentlemen. By the way, it was one that Greg did not think of. Greg is a lovely guy that came out. Greg did not think about it. It was designed for him by Jim. Okay, so there was a script, there was a process. So have you got a script or a process, and instead of just expecting your team to answer the phone the way you expect them to, have you set up, say, well, here's how I'd like you to approach all of our inquiries, and give them a framework, even if it's not a word-for-word script. There's a strategy so you can get the contact details of the person. Are you with me so far? Put it in the comments, by the way, and let me know if this is making sense to you. Okay, so what might be a better bet when you get that call, and if this pool company had have actually used a basic script And instead of telling us what they're going to give us, they started asking questions and doing a needs analysis. So, well, what type of pool have you got? And how many litres might it be? And are you concerned about the energy consumption? And when would you like it installed? If the person had been given a framework, and I'm not blaming the person that answered the phone because they were probably never ever taught by their owner how to deal with the customers. And here's again, I'm sharing it with you because you're anonymous. I don't know you're not seeing me, so this is completely anonymous. But have you created a framework for either yourself or for your team to be able to respond to clients in their first impression? Because we all know you never get a second chance for a first impression. Who's with me on that? Again, put it in the comments. And full disclosure, I am male. And it is true, I can only do one thing at a time. And right now, my one thing is focusing on teaching you as best I can about diagnosing your sales process. But as soon as I'm done, I want to check out the comments and I want to hear your thoughts. And I want to hear maybe if you've come across a sales prevention department yourself. So coming back to it, okay, when we start coming up with these logical questions, don't you think that there's a better affinity and a better connection with the prospect? Because you're showing what? Well, you're showing that you care about them getting the right solution to their problem. And that's all it's about. Okay, so what questions have you designed? What script have you got? What process have you got when you're having a conversation with them? Then once you've actually had that conversation, the next step is your indoctrination process. Okay, so let's just say if they wanted to improve the process even better with Jim, if I was guiding Jim, and I have helped the Jim franchise in South Australia dramatically improve their sales process simply by going through exactly this same scenario, okay, just going step by step through the sales process, and it increased their sales hundreds of %. So that's the master franchise over there. G'day, Shane. All right, so have a look. Have you got an indoctrination process? So think about it. Before you even go and offer your solution to somebody, wouldn't it be great if you were perceived as the expert and the authority, and they already felt like they knew you and trusted the advice that you had? Could you set up some sort of a consumer awareness guide you can send to them? Or maybe send them case studies, testimonials. Let them know, and not in a full-on way, but in a very subtle way, how there is never any risk when you deal with us because we stand behind everything we do. And before you choose anybody, you got to make sure that they've got this and this and this. They've got their public liability, they've got their trades licenses, and they're insured for X amount of dollars. And you should always check these 4 critical things before letting anybody do work with you. Okay, is that making sense? So now you've positioned yourself as the expert before you've even come in to do the proposal and the quote and etc., etc. Now, the next step, okay, you're now going to design the proposal. Now, just about all my companies, I've largely dealt in big ticket items. I mean, generally the smallest sales that I generally make in my companies are probably $15,000, $25,000, $50,000 sales many times, and so depending on the size of the transaction, let's just say if it's a $5,000 sale or above, then I would urge you all, and this was one of my secret sources when I had my air conditioning companies in Sydney, I would always go back with the proposal. And I would walk through it with the client because they're investing $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 in air conditioning, okay? So if you went back there after you've put a U-Butte proposal together, you massively increase the chances of conversion. Was it a bit more of a hassle? Yes. But again, you show that you care and you're willing to put that extra time in with the client. And that's how you get the big bucks, guys, girls, is put that extra effort in. So create a proposal. Now, I'm going to show you an example of a Streetsmart proposal now. Now, the names have been covered to protect the innocent, but here was a $1 million proposal for a pool company that we put together. So when we're doing a pool quote for somebody, this is what it would look like. And we'd go back and we'd walk through it with them. We'd explain all the steps and the guarantees and how you get bonuses for fast decision making and how you go into a competition for a trip to Fiji and all these other wonderful things that we would put into these $1 million sales proposals. We'd give testimonials and yada, yada, yada so that they know that there's no risk. Now, isn't that better than this type of flick and tick sheet that I see so many people offering when they're doing huge $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 sales? They don't get much more than a quote like that. So what would you prefer? What would you be more comfortable with? Well, I can only speak for me, but maybe that's why I used to win 80% of my sales when I did air conditioning proposals, and my competitors used to win 30%. Interesting. Maybe it's worth the effort. All right. And then here's the magic thing. Your follow-up process. Do you have one? Okay. And because that's where the money is. Okay. It's in the follow-up. You know, they did research. Well, they do lots of studies all the time. And, you know, probably as little as 10 years ago, it used to only be 4 to 5 touches, 4 to 5 connections with someone for someone to make a buying decision. These days they do studies and they're saying it's up to 14 and 15 times you need to touch someone. In other words, an email, a phone call, information, direct mail, SMS, whatever the touches are, you touch them. Now, don't get arrested, okay, and don't become painful to them. You want to be a welcome guest, not an uninvited pest, but you want to touch these individuals and do it in a strategic way. So again, you're there helping and enhancing what they want to achieve. And if you follow those few steps, I can tell you here and now, your sales conversions are going to increase dramatically. Who's got something from this? I'd love it if you put in the content in the comments down below. Just let me know what your takeaway was from it and what you're going to improve there. But again, just to recap, review, look at your initial contact with your clients. Make sure that you are consulting with them, that you're really fulfilling what their needs are, not what you want to sell them. Put in some sort of indoctrination process prior to you meeting the actual prospect so that already, before you even offer a solution to them, they already know they can trust you and that you are an expert. Then do a decent proposal. Don't just do a flick and tick sheet. Put the effort into creating a great proposal. And make sure you follow up, because too few people follow up on their sales. Now, if you do that, instead of you having a sales prevention department, I promise you, you are going to have a sales facilitation department. And remember, my big clock, okay, the cost of inaction clock. So if you've watched this and you've listened and you've learned something, take action on it. Because there's so much knowledge out there, you know it, I know it. I mean, all you need to do is go to Google and you can find just about anything you want on the planet. But it's the execution, the correct execution of the knowledge that makes the results and makes the money. Now, if you want to get some assistance and you'd like some help in execution and improving your processes, well, I'm happy to help. And there's a really cool way for you to actually start that process. I'll put a quiz together. It's called facethetruth.com.au. If you go to the URL facethetruth.com.au, there's a quiz there I put together. And if you answer those questions there, you're really going to be able to focus on the key things that get you the big results in the fastest amount of time in your business. So you'll find it, I guess, very enlightening when you do the quiz. It only takes 5 or 10 minutes, but by the time you finish, you're really going to start to get clarity on the things you should be focusing on. So guys, look, I'd love to hear from you. Like me, put a comment down below. Let me know if there's anything that you'd like me to cover in addition to this. And what I'll do, just for a bit of fun over the next few days till the end of the week, I'm just going to share with you a sales prevention example each day for the rest of the week, so that we know that those departments are out there and we do our best to eliminate them. So again, take care. Be street smart in how you're running your company, not sheep smart. And by the way, remember, take that quiz. You're really going to get some benefit from it. So facethetruth.com.au and you'll get a bit of an aha moment by the time you finish that. All right. Till next time, ladies and gentlemen. Bye for now.